let's see what else. We need a few flowers to make it look convincing and interesting. And I only need to go to the nursery. And here we have a lovely Nandina bush. And there's some lovely berries on this. You remember in that walk I took around the pond? We had some beautiful Nandina berries there. So this is one. Now let me find something else. And I noticed that the camellias are starting to bloom. We have a lot of bonsai camellias. I don't know whether the light is good enough. Look at these beautiful little camellia flowers. So I'm going to cut a few of these off. I'm just going to give it a good prune. They will grow again. Prune a few more. And there's one there. This is what they're most useful for. I'm only doing a bit of pruning because this tree needs to be pruned, otherwise it gets too big, too tall. And the beauty with Japanese flower arranging is that you don't need a lot of stuff. You only need to have a few branches here and there. And for good measure, oh, look at the deer. You're videoing it? Yeah. Look at that, 4 deer, 3 deer. And then for good measure, let's get some of these old stems. These are Formosan lily stems, all on a winter's day. And if we want some foliage, I will just cut some foliage as well. And we can see what we can do. So we'll now go back and we will do the flower arranging. Okay. Okay. So I brought you in the comfort of the office so it looks a bit tidier and cleaner. And I can show you what we've done with these offcuts. These were the offcuts from making the cedar forest. So rather than throw it away, what can we do with it? And as you know, in the olden days, the Japanese flower arrangers from these great famous Japanese flowering schools, the tea masters, they used to pick up the fallen pine branches of trees and wildflowers and do arrangements. So I have a lot of containers. This I have shown you before is a pot I made in 1967, one of the first pots I ever made when I was an amateur. I used to do a lot of ceramics and I hadn't started doing bonsai yet. So this is a very favorite container of mine. And I do a lot of ceramics. As you can see, we collect many ceramics. And this is a very famous tea bowl. This tea bowl is made by a potter called William Marshall. He is now passed away, and he is Bernard Leach's right-hand man from the famous pottery in St. Ives. And I remember going to St. Ives in 1967, and I couldn't afford to buy a Leach pot, but I bought a William Marshall tea bowl for 30 shillings. That is £1.10 shillings. £1.10. In those days, £1.10 was, I think, 1 day's wages. So in today's money, it would be worth about £200, because in those days, we only earned £6 a week. So this cost me £1.10. So that's a tea bowl. I have other tea bowls. Sometimes I pick them up. These were picked up in a charity shop, and I paid probably only like £4 for it, but it's a beautiful tea bowl. I don't know who made it. And then, of course, these are pots that I buy from Japan. These are beautiful little pots. This is also a pot I bought from Japan. Look at that beautiful glaze there. And this is a pot that my pottery teacher, John Eden, made. That's his seal. And this was made again in 1967. I think John Eden now lives in America. He must be in his 80s now because he was about my age. And this I use as a, pencil holder, but I will show you what I can do with this. So all these containers, I'm going to show you what we can do with them to make a little arrangement. So let us begin first treating each individual pot on its own and see what we can do with that. And these branches that come out, there's such a lot of choice. In flower arranging, as with bonsai, less is more. And the beauty of Ikebana or flower arranging is that it's the beauty of the line that is important. Now that is much too busy. So let us see what we can do with that. It's almost like doing bonsai in a way. So let us see what we can achieve with that. That is a bit too straight. Many people don't know that I dabble in this, but I used to dabble with Ikebana long before I ever did bonsai. See, just by pruning it, it's just like doing bonsai. And you see what a beautiful little arrangement I've got from that. You see, that will stand on its own like that. So you don't need to do anything more. If you wanted to, you can put a little sprig in there. I know that those who do Ikebana will criticize me, but that's the sort of thing. That's beautiful in its own right. So that you can put on your dining table or somewhere just to enjoy. So let's leave that one there. Now this little thing we usually just fill with water. And what do we do with that? And this one, it's crying out for one of these lovely little camellias. These were bonsai, by the way, bonsai camellias. And all I do is I put either one flower in there, or if you then put maybe one leaf there, and fill it with water. And that's all you need to do. Not more than that. If you wanted to, you could try a sprig of cedar. I've got such a lot. Just let your imagination run wild. You could do something like that. That also looks nice. So we're going to do separate ones. Now this is a little bottle, we call it. That's a bottle shape. And because it's a bottle shape, let's do something different. Let's really do something different. How about doing that? That would work as well. That's tall. I haven't done anything to it. That's how it was cut. And maybe to have a little contrast, I have a tiny bit of cedar here. That's not bad. So that's a number 3. And what do we do with this pot? Oh, let's do the small pots first. This is the famous tea bowl. I want to show this beautiful effect there. And with that one, probably, again, I think to contrast that beautiful glaze, I should use a red flower to contrast it. And that is all I need to do to that one. Now this one, this beautiful pot by my pottery teacher John Eden, because it's a tallish pot, let me use some of these sprays of the Formosan lily. Lilies and other plants that have these sprays are favorites for doing Ikebana. You don't need so many, but just to show what we can do, let's try something more dramatic. These are all the prunings from our bonsai creation. I think you have to split the trunk so that it takes up water. You can try different arrangements to see if it works or it doesn't work. Somehow that doesn't seem to work. What about that? That doesn't seem to work. You just go try and see what works and what doesn't work. Now what if we did something like this? That may work better since we've got these materials here. Try that. As with all Japanese flower arranging, as I say, this less is more principle. It's always tempting to use too much. I think that is getting a bit busy. I think we don't want to... it doesn't bring out the beauty of the pot too much. I don't think that works. The funny about art, something inside your very being will tell you whether it is successful or not. If it doesn't work, you will know straight away that it doesn't work. I'm trying to force it somehow, which is not happening. Now that doesn't work. I'm trying to use that foliage. Actually, in fact, just that foliage alone is quite attractive. I think that is too much. That is getting somewhere. That's not too bad. That's a possibility. Simple like that. What if I put another leaf in there? That may add to it. So I think that is all I'll do with that one. And then I still have some other container. This is a piece of bamboo that I purchased from India. And this is just turned. And with a tall thing like that, that Nandina would probably go quite well. I have such a lot of it. Let's try that, or let's try probably a branch of the cedar. You notice I'm trying different things. If one thing doesn't work, you've got to try something else. Don't keep pursuing the same line. Now with that one, just arrangement of cedar branches. See, that is probably all you need is green. And then I have one more pot. This is a lovely Japanese pot, one of my favorite pots. Let's see if we can put these Nandina. Nandina, by the way, is a favorite subject used by the Japanese in winter, because in winter when everything is drab and there's no color, this adds so much color and beauty. So that's something there. Again, what has it taken me? Just 5 seconds. You can play around with it till it looks right, put it more upright. See, a little change in the angle will make it look different. There you are, so you can just still see the glaze of that pot in there. And then let me just show you some other ideas. My colleague was asking me, in Japan, is it the men who do bonsai and the women who do the Ikebana? Not so. Ikebana, all the great masters in Japan are men. So even the ladies who do Ikebana, they're called Ikebana masters. Even though they're women, they're called masters. So these are little Japanese plates which are used for food. And with a lot of the Japanese meals, the beauty of the meal really is paramount. So you're not just eating a meal, you're appreciating the beauty. So when they serve a meal, they will probably put something like that on the plate. Or how about this? You could put that on the plate. Just that. Look at that for the beauty in there. And if you want to, you can even put it here, like so. If you don't want so much foliage, cut that foliage off. Cut that foliage off. Have it like that. So these are the different things you can do. And all these spare prunings and trimmings, don't waste it. They can be used for bonsai. So there you go. I hope you've been able to appreciate what I've shown. So the whole object is to show you that there is beauty in everything. So you have several rooms. I will now go and put them one in each room. In every bathroom I will put them in, so when you go to the toilet you can appreciate the beauty of each and every arrangement that there is. So I hope you've enjoyed this little episode of Ikebana using the trimmings of bonsai and these winter things. There you go.